Ah, yes. The damage review. Oh. Damage is probably the strongest category in the game right now, if I'm being completely honest. There are a lot of damage dealers, depending on if you're console or PC, that are in a very strong to just healthy state. There are very few weak damages, or even lower tier damages. Let's get down to business. Bomb King did not get many changes this year. Mostly some loadout card changes. Bomb King fell a lot. You see, with Dredge being the easy-to-spam character that he is, and buffs to the other two blasters, Bomb King's utility really came down. As a stun master, Bomb King really isn't picked for his stuns. Not when Khan, who is a far superior champion with Vortex Grab, is a thing. When IO, who literally just has to press L1 to deploy her dog, and she gets 4 stuns a second, feels like. And other characters in the game just having so many stuns at their disposal, it felt like BK was kind of an afterthought. If you wanted knockback, you picked Ashe and ran a 2-tank lineup. If you wanted stuns, you picked Khan and you ran a 2-tank lineup. If you wanted blast damage, you ran Dredge, depending on the map, or Willow, Dredge, or Drogos, depending on the map. Willow, if you wanted some more flexibility in there. Bobby felt like an afterthought this year.
Say my name.
And he really isn't getting a lot of changes. I don't know if he's going to be that powerful coming into New Slate. I think Bomb King may. I think the end is near for the king of the realm. The beast of K's may be falling. Realistically, he takes more work than the value you can get out of him right now. Waha! Cassie has been nerfed all year long because of PC. PC has been trying to get her nerfed. And now, one thing I find very hypocritical. Okay? Crossplay gets introduced. PC and console now play with each other. Okay? Why? If everyone always says that, oh, Cassie Leon must ban. Cassie Leon must ban in ranked. When the big cross-play change happened, they're not. Like, literally, your rank bans are damages. You're banning Tyra, Victor, Vivian. Sometimes Strix. Dredge or Drogos may be map dependent, but Tyra, Victor, Vivian. And then Koga, Talus, Sky, Genos, they're wild cards. So 4 of those characters are banned. And the rest are top pick. Pretty much every time. Unless you're in, like, some ridiculous meme build queue where we have people ban Grok and Pip and first pick Maldamba or some shit like that. I've had a queue like that. I'm like, I just facepalm and I'm like, what is this? But, yeah, Cassie been nerfed. Cassie's loadout cards have been nerfed. Cassie's base kit has been nerfed. Cassie's legendary cards have been nerfed. Big Game got nerfed, and it's getting another nerf. The cooldown on her dodge roll is getting nerfed in this coming patch. Her ult got nerfed to no longer give CC immunity, and a lot of her loadout cards got nerfed. She's still a consistent, reliable DPS. She's still boring to play. She still deals a lot of damage. It's Cassie. I think Big Game is pretty much the only thing that's really suffered because they have nerfed it. It's like Big Game became popular when people realized, I can melt tanks with this. And because they announced they were nerfing it one time, it died immediately and everyone went back to Impulse Exaction. So I just think that she's in a reliable state. That's all I can say. Dredge is still powerful. He's been nerfed all year, and yet he's still powerful. They nerfed his loadout cards, like a lot. They nerfed the damage of his reload. They nerfed his ult, which they called a buff, but it's still a nerf. They nerfed his teleporting ability. They nerfed Scuttle. And yet Dredge, because of how easy he is to spam, is still one of the most annoying fucking characters to go up against.
Ho, 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 Dredge.
So, Dredge is in an awkward state. He's good for blast damage. You can run Harpoon spam if you want. That's pretty viable too. But he's still a spam-based character. Kind of makes him annoying to go up against, but there's a bunch of counterplay to him. As long as you can get a flank that goes in and kills him, your team doesn't really have to worry too much. Drogos.
Abyssal Lord Drogos.
Oh god. I hate Drogos. Oh god, I hate Drogos. Drogos started the year in a relatively awkward spot because people didn't know how he was going to be. And he, in my opinion, became fucking oppressive to the point where I was banning him. Wormjets, for those that don't know, made it impossible to get Drogos out of the air. It made you stay in air forever. His if you had the right build on with your boosters, you were in air all game. And it made him so hard to kill. Now, he was a map-dependent based character, but because Fuselage and Combustible got nerfed, Fuselage by 5%, Combustible got a base damage nerf. Well, the Fire Spit got a base damage nerf, not Combustible. It really did hamper his effectiveness. Got some loadout card tweaks, nothing too big. Coming into this year, not really that much planned for him. Mostly some loadout card changes again. Are they doing another rework to Wormjets? I don't think they are. But, Wormjets Drogos is pretty powerful. Right now, at, near the mid-season patch, they ended up doing a bit of a nerf to it, where they moved some of the effectiveness of Wormjets into his base kit. It made him a bit stronger base kit. What I mean by that, it made his other two talents a bit stronger, and Wormjets a bit weaker. But I wouldn't necessarily say, oh, it's a nerf. So, he's still in a pretty strong state. He's right now the top blaster in the game, if you can play him. The rise, fall, and faller of Amani. Amani released this year. I'm covering her now because she was the first character that released, so she kind of is, like, not really new-ish compared to, like, say, Atlas is kind of newer. Amani released, nobody liked her. They buffed her. Nobody liked her. They buffed her some more. Nobody liked her. They gave her a tiny nerf to the ice bolts where they can no longer bounce off screen, like Grok. Nobody liked her. They gave her another buff. Nobody liked her. Like, nobody plays Amani. She's a solid damage champion. They've been consistently trying to buff her. Mostly, Amani's big problem is she relies on her Frost Bomb root. That's pretty much... That's really the meme with Amani is solo root, kill. Solo root, kill. Solo root, kill. I find the fire stance more annoying, to be honest, because every time I try to kill an Amani, they immediately switch to fire and just fucking Inferno Cannon in my face. Like they're trying to be the Human Torch or something like that. And like, you can't kill me with any other fucking ability, really. I just think people don't really like her playstyle. They don't like that stance switching type character because, you know, there's Koga, who never dies. And there's Strix, who is just more annoying. Amani kind of relies on gimmicks, to be honest. She does have solid damage, but because it feels kind of spammy, it doesn't really feel as impactful. People don't really play her that much, which I think is a shame. Coming into this year, she's getting another round of buffs. I still enjoy playing her. She's going to be one of the characters I'm going to enjoy getting to gold. She might be the next character I get to gold. I'm probably going to do Vivian next. I just got Leon up, so I need to pick another damage to start working on to get to 50. It's probably going to be Vivian, but Imani's right up there. I do enjoy playing her. I'm in the minority there. Kinessa.
Kinessa.
Kinessa, also known as Ain't Strix. I mean, tell me I'm wrong, though. Kinessa's only advantage over Strix is the fact that she does more damage on headshots, pretty much, because of her ult and because of Eagle Eye. Literally the only changes that she got were they gave her an FOV increase, which they also gave to Strix, which I don't know if you call that buff or nerf, and they gave her some loadout card changes, which were pretty decent. Coming in this year, they're going to be doing some more loadout card changes to her as well, and they're going to be buffing her as well, so it'll take a little bit less longer. 1.4 seconds going down to 1.3 seconds to reach your maximum charge on your shots. I don't really think that's going to be that noticeable. But Kinessa's problem is she's always been outmatched by the fact that Strix is your quick snope. Strix is your Call of Duty sniper. Kinessa is your Battlefield sniper. And Battlefield is less popular than Call of Duty. Therefore, Kinessa's less popular. Your dedicated Kinessa mains are still a force to be reckoned with. So don't get me wrong. She's not weak. She's just not Strix. And that's literally how I sum her up. Leon. Boy, the
Leon.
Nerf hammer came down on Leon, and only one thing affected her. Pretty much the problem with Leon is they tried to remove the Eminent spam, because Eminent spam has been such a thing. With Death and Taxes getting removed at the start of the year, Eminent spam became this big thing. And they introduced Precision, and no one gives a fuck about Precision. Let's just forget that's a talent. Eminence is strong, but because it's such a hit or miss ability, it's not my favorite. I like Alacrity. I would take having that much wider, basically turning her into an area damage dealer over that burst. Again, I'm a fan of more consistent damage over burst. But they nerfed a lot of her loadout cards trying to cut down on the burst spam. They nerfed her kit. The only real change to her is her ult is no longer complete damage immunity. Her ult is now 50% damage immunity, which is key, because it means she can no longer tank any ult in the game by burning her ult as a get out of jail free card. I think that really hurt her, but she's still incredibly strong. She's easier to play, and she's strong. And she's stronger than most of your other high skill characters, which makes her really strong in the meta. I don't see a lot changing. I see her being in a really strong spot still. Sha-Lin came into the year not being played. Sha-Lin ends the year not being played. If you're not like a Sha-Lin main or trying to go for some weird challenge, you're not playing Sha-Lin. He got like no changes. Nothing to base kit. Nothing to talent. Maybe, I don't even know if he had a loadout card. I don't think Sha-Lin changed. They are doing a big overhaul. So Impaler Arrow is now being changed to a cripple. Planted is now being changed to Hanzo Storm Arrows, where you automatically fire off 5 arrows while you're standing up. They are buffing Recurve to 25%. Desert Shadow and Explosive Arrows are both being changed. Desert Shadow is now Desert Silence, so it changes from being bonus damage to silencing for a second and a half, and Explosive Arrows is now being a cripple, AoE cripple. I think the only thing that's important to note is Sha-Lin is losing that blast ability with Explosive Arrows. The most viable playstyle for him right now is actually Explosive Arrows and trying to run what I call the Boom Shot build, which is trying to burn people down with the AoE of the Explosive Arrows, give you a little bit more confirmable damage. That's pretty much going away. Those of you who can't hit your shots are going to suffer. I think it's an overall buff to Sha-Lin, but it's nice to actually see him getting a change. Oh my god. I honestly believe Sha-Lin is this year's nominee for Barrack of the Year. See, Barrack last year was the one that never got touched, and then all of a sudden they gave him this big overhaul mid-season, and he became a fucking juggernaut that you see all the time now. That's Sha-Lin, baby. I think Sha-Lin is this year's Barrack of the Year winner.
Strix.
Strix is still fucking overpowered. Strix is the most consistent long-range damage dealer in the game. Strix is pretty much unkillable at close range because he pistol whips you in the fucking face, and if there was a teabag in this game, he'd be able to do that to you. The fact that he also has a stealth ability that makes him a hit-and-run champion, and he has an annoying-ass flashbang to blow up in your face, still has not been changed. They did nerf the damage to his pistol this year. That did nothing to lower his DPS. They are nerfing it again coming up, and that may be enough. They're dropping it down to 200 damage a shot. So, within the span of a year, he's going down from 250 to 200. That might be enough to freaking bring his pistol DPS down. I highly doubt that. He's still a quick scope machine. Unauthorized use is finally getting the much needed nerf in base damage. Yay! It's still gonna be his strongest talent. I mean, if you don't use the flare for the reveal, there is literally no reason not to run unauthorized use. However, he got a lot of loadout card changes, and I feel I need to cover one in particular. Roost. People complained about, well, Strix is just unkillable in scope. He outduels Kinessa. Why did I choose Cuddly Makoa for that voice? I don't know. He outduels a Kinessa. So they took the damage reduction card and turned it into an ult charge card. That lets Strix get his ult at an amazingly fast rate. Then they nerfed it. That don't matter. If you know a good Strix player, they're not missing their shots. He gets his ult every 5 seconds. Like, Strix's problem is he still has so many cards at his disposal that he really is a nightmare. Like, Strix is one of those sneaky characters. You don't ban him because you don't want to risk that the rest of your team has this god tier Strix at, like, bronze. Like, there's one bronze guy that can't play anybody else but Strix, but because he's a Call of Duty sniper, he's just god tier. That's the problem with Strix. He's so powerful that he's weak at the same time. No, I'm just kidding. He really is, like, one of the strongest DPS characters in the game. Now we have Tyra. Tyra got an overhaul. They kept trying to rework her Hunter's Mark. They successfully managed to nerf some of her loadout cards, which they didn't really do anything to. They successfully nerfed Hunting Party down. They reworked Mercy Kill again. They did some base kit changes, and they're going to be doing some nerfs to her again. Mostly a few loadout card changes. They'll be nerfing her base damage. They'll be buffing her base ammo count, and they're going to nerf Burn Monster. I don't really have a problem with any of the changes that they're doing. I'm interested to see how the damage is going to be, though. Reducing her damage per shot and increasing her ammo count. I'm not really a fan of that. I think I'm going to have... if it's going to make it where I have to hold down R2 longer, that's really not going to get a kill. I don't think that's really going to be that fun. But I think one of the things right now with Tyra is she, unlike Victor, where Victor has grenade to burst somebody down, and the rest of the time is hold R2. And you have Vivian, who's just hold R2 all the time. Tyra's like that one champion where she has the other abilities that she throws out to, like, spice things up. She's like, ah, it's a fire on the point, and you die. Wait, you are leaving my fire? No, I hit you with a grenade. Don't you run from me? Wait, you want to run away? Fine, I will see where you're going. The French accent makes no sense, but just go with it. It's like, think of Tyra as married to Pepe Le Pew. Okay? Just go with it. So, pretty much, Tyra's in that spot, but I don't think the changes really hurt her that much. She is, like, the top tier damage in the game right now because of just how much she can melt people. Victor, the most basic character in the game, is one of the meta characters just because he's easy, consistent, reliable damage. Where I wonder where are all the good men gone? That being Kathy and Leon. They have been replaced by Victor Tyra this split. Victor is like first pick or banned every game at a ring. Because he's just easy. Everyone has him. He's easy damage. There's no reason not to pick him. Literally. The only change that he got, really, is Cardio. Got buffed. And so Cardio Victor is a thing. there is no penalty to Cardio Victor. You literally can run away from any fight and heal up and not worry about dying. Loadout card-wise, he still suffers from the same, only being able to have 5 good cards, pretty much, but... other than that, Victor's still a strong damage dealer. I mean, he's in line for a nerf, but they're nerfing Cardio a little, that's about it. Vivian. Vivian got, like, no changes this year. For one of the most annoying characters in the game, she's not really getting any changes. I mean, she still plays pretty much the same, just hold down R2, she has the same 2 builds, pretty much. You know, you have the infinite ammo, and you have the mobile tank build. I still run Booby Trap. People still run, other people run Opportunity and Chaos. So she's gang, Suspect Everyone is going to become a shield card, and they're going to make it so that you can buff the shield out. It's going to be kind of fucking insane. It's going to be awesome. She's going to be able to play like a mini tank. She's still annoying as fuck to deal with. Again, she's like Talus. You're not seeing her in ranked. If you're a Vivian or a Talus main and you're trying to queue for ranked, just don't. Save yourself the trouble. Just don't. She's still like probably one of the easier damages in the game to play, just because all you have to really do is hold R2 and pop your shield every now and then. She's in line for a nerf, but I understand why they're not doing it, because if they nerf her anymore, then she's going to feel weak. Because she already kind of feels weak. The last character I want to cover is Willow. And I feel quite sad for Willow. When Willow entered the year, Willow was in a very bad state, because it felt like you just played Willow for the dead zone. Like, Willow had one gimmick up her sleeve, like everybody else, and that was dead zone. And they nerfed her. They nerfed dead zone. Now, it hasn't been nerfed since the beginning of the year. Scorn hasn't been nerfed at all this year. And Blast Flower, they nerfed the amount of stacks on it, and then it's getting nerfed again this patch. But they buffed her mobility. And to me, that was actually the biggest thing they could do for Willow. See, Willow started the year very weak. She got a little bit of a buff to her mobility. They buffed her ult, they buffed her R1, and I think they did a couple of loadout card changes. And they buffed her damage on her primary fire as well. They made the blast radius a little bigger, they made damage fall off a little bit less, and that really helped her. It helped her too much. So then they reverted some of those changes. They didn't revert the mobility changes, but they reverted her primary fire changes. Now at the end of the year, as I think about this, I honestly feel bad for Willow players. Because Willow, in my opinion, still suffers from one glaring issue, which the Blast Flower nerf is going to highlight. Willow's kit, to me, feels like whatever talent you choose is saying, I'm focusing on this, and the other 2 ones are shit. So, to put this in perspective, her primary fire is very weak. She has a slow rate of fire for the amount of damage that she deals. So you get Blast Flower to counteract this. Blast Flower means if you're hitting your shots, you're increasing your overall DPS. Well, that is getting nerfed. You're not going to have as long to get those weapon shots, and you're not going to be able to get as much stacks. It's still staying at the 3 stacks. It used to be 5, but they're nerfing it down from 5 seconds to 3 seconds. You know what the problem is? Your Nightshade and your Dead Zone and your Seedling are weak. They're long cooldowns, and they don't do much. So if you want to buff your Dead Zone and say, well, I need an extra damage ability, I'll buff my Dead Zone out. My nose is actually bleeding. I'm hoping you can't see it on stream. So you run Nightshade, and now you have an extra damage ability. But now you're not using Nightshade for the healing reduction to nullify point. Okay? My Seedling is weak, it takes too long to kill people. So I run Scorn, so now I have this insane bursty damage ability, but my primary fire and my Dead Zone are really weak. I feel Willow's in this awkward state now. She's a solid damage dealer, but only in one of 3 areas, and it makes her feel very incomplete. I think she needs a little bit more of a tweak to actually make her feel more rounded overall. Like, maybe if they add Nightshade to her base kit a little bit, like, say, if they increase the damage of her Dead Zone by default up from 100 to 300, and rework Nightshade into something else. If they work it to, say, anytime and like if they rework it to where allies in your Dead Zone receive 30% increased healing from all sources. or something like that, I think that could maybe help her out. And I didn't want to focus on Willow a lot, but this whole video, it actually was based around this one Willow segment. So if you stuck around to the end of the video, thank you very much for this 2019 review of